One of the things that often gets missed when it comes to talking about communication and relating is the context that we've created around our relating. And what I've recognized is that there's 4 essential contexts for relating. And I'll go through them and talk a little bit about them, and hopefully that'll help you see where you're at in this spectrum of relating and how the shifting of context can change what we tend to, where we communicate from, and what we actually recognize our communication is for. So the 4 levels of relating are me. In other words, your relational patterning, your relational motive is all about what's going on in this piece. What serves me? What do I want? What do I not want? Am I trying to move towards something for myself? Am I trying to move away from something for myself? This is my reference point, me, and what's going on in me. And it tends to be where we start, which makes sense. Our nervous system is registering. We're aware of what feels good and what doesn't, and so we relate from a self-oriented perspective. And while there's nothing wrong with that, if we're not available to begin including things beyond ourselves, our communication and our relationships will be significantly stunted. When we start to evolve outside of this me as the centerpiece of life, what we naturally start to do is we become aware of and include the other, you. So I can have a you-centered communication style or relational style. Now, if I get imbalanced where all of my attention is on the other and I basically lose track of what's going on here, that's the entangled relational style or attachment style. That's the one that will get walked all over, will be taken advantage of, will sacrifice their own well-being in the interest of others. Where that can be altruistic and good to take care of others, if we leave ourselves out of the equation, we're not really in relationship. What we're actually doing is we're playing out our patterning around caretaking, around making sure it's okay, usually so that we get the love that we want. And it just doesn't work. When we evolve past the me-you contexts for relationship, we come into a we relationship where we start to recognize that there's me over here, there's you over there, and we're in this together. And it actually matters to me what's happening here, and it matters to me what's happening over there. And so now my motive and my whole frame for the relationship and for the communication is what works for us. That's the we context, and it's powerful, and it changes everything when we go from a me or a you context of communication to a we. All sorts of things that didn't work before start to work because we're including the dynamics of the internal world of ourselves and what we're aware of the external realities for others. And we're starting to learn how to dance that, how to balance and make all of that work so people can start to have nourishing needs met in the relationships. The challenge with the we context for relationship is that it's still limited, because if there's a we also inherently create an other. So we create a circle of we, and then there are inevitably going to be ones that fall outside of the we. And so then that's problematic. This is sort of where tribalism comes in, where we have our circle, whether it's our friends or our family or our community, and then if people don't see eye to eye with us, if people don't match our values, we other them, and then it's us against them. And we see a lot of that kind of tribalism in our world today. And whereas within the community, it can be a very powerful way to establish cohesion and ways of relating that work for that community, ultimately, if it's not inclusive of all, it's not sustainable, it's not really going to work. So then if we keep evolving to this 4th level of relating, what I call the all level of relating, what we're actually doing is we're making ourselves available to be inclusive of everything. That doesn't even mean just all of humanity. I'm talking about a context for relating that includes all of life, all of reality. The challenge with that, and the reason that we often don't get to that level of relating, is that we're never going to know it all. We're never actually going to be able to encapsulate the totality of existence and relate from that. So the all context for relating and communication inherently includes a kind of unknown, a kind of existential uncertainty, that we are perpetually willing to lay down what we've been carrying, the reference points we've been using to relate and communicate for the new expanding recognition of what's at play, what's included in this relational world of life. And the beauty of an all context for relating is that it's deeply vulnerable, which I've spoken about a lot as being the centerpiece of authentic communication and relating. It's looking to be inclusive. It's highly adaptable and responsive to the unfolding moment. And in a real way, it's how life moves. When you look at a natural system, an ecosystem, you go into nature. Nature has an all context for communicating. Nature is constantly at play with life and death, giving and receiving, and it doesn't have the kind of provincial or partitioned ways of relating that human beings have developed. So in a way, our way home and our way into the full potential of human relationship involves coming back to a way of relating that is much more like nature relates, which is all in, wholehearted, fully present, and fully available for whatever is next, in the known and the unknown.